Aloha. Welcome to Church of the Holy Cross, United Church of Christ here in Hilo, Hawaii. It's Wednesday at 11, and that means it's time for a song from Church of the Holy Cross. My name's Eric Anderson. I'm the pastor here, and I'm delighted that you can be with me. So today's song is about 6 years old, probably written pretty close to this time of year because it premiered on August 7th of 2016 as part of a worship service. This was a kind of a jazz music worship service, and if you're all thinking, oh, Eric, I didn't know you were a jazz musician. Yeah, I'm not a jazz musician. However, I did write this song for that occasion, and 6 years later, it turns out that the scripture readings in the Revised Common Lectionary are coming up again as for that day 6 years ago. And so I thought I'd bring back this song. I have sung it as part of these Wednesday performances last November, I think. And it does rely on a limited knowledge of musical theory. So I'll take you very briefly through the one musical theory concept that might be of use to you here. And that is the concept of the seventh chord. Now there's basically, there's major chords, and then there's another major chord, and then there's another major chord. But then a seventh chord is something that really is pushing you towards another chord, a chord that's going to resolve things. So here's a D major, but if I turn it to a D7, we find ourselves going, oh dear, we're in an uncomfortable place. How do we get to where we are? Much better. So this song is for all of us who, at pretty much any time in our lives, but especially in a global pandemic, can be described as living on the seventh chord. By faith, Abraham set out for a place away to the south. Out of God's mouth came, put on your bold face, you're receiving grace. By faith, Abraham set out on the way. Where he would go, he didn't know. A tent was where he'd stay. He'd wonder and he'd pray. By faith, Abraham heard he'd be a miracle dad. By faith, Abraham and Sarah had a lad. By faith, Abraham and Sarah looked to the stars. By faith, Abraham and Sarah said, these grandchildren will be ours. By faith, Abraham saw a city bright. Perhaps he would grin, they related to him as he blew out the light in his tent each night. By faith, Abraham trusted in the Lord, though he'd never see these things that would be. He raised his heart skyward, he lived on the seventh chord. By faith, Abraham lived on the seventh chord. By faith, Abraham trusted things would be. By faith, Abraham lived on the seventh chord. He lived on the seventh chord. Yes, he lived on the seventh chord. Abraham, 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 by faith. By faith, Abraham, living on the seventh chord. Well, I hope you enjoyed hearing that song again, or hope you enjoyed hearing it for the first time, if that is the case for you. So coming up this Sunday, we have worship here at Church of the Holy Cross. We are open to all those who wish to worship presently, in person, physically in this room. We also invite all those who would like to worship via the live stream here on YouTube, and you can find the worship service in full at holycrosshilo.com. Click on the worship tab. Next Wednesday, I will be back again with another song from Church of the Holy Cross. Oh yes, and there is one other thing I want to make sure to mention. Saturday is Interfaith Communities in Action's Walk to End Family Homelessness. This is really exciting. The first time that ICIA has taken on a fundraising walk and certainly a fundraising effort of this scale. If you can possibly help with the efforts to end family homelessness here on Hawaii Island, I encourage you to come out and walk or to sponsor one of the walkers. That's Saturday, Worship Sunday, and we're back with a song next Wednesday. Until we are together again in a virtual space or physically in the same room, until that time, be well, be hopeful and full of faith as we live together on the seventh chord. Aloha.